Today, I am speaking to Spencer West, who is a transformational life coach. He specializes in helping lawyers and tech professionals to hack their brains and biology to dramatically increase their energy levels, improve their relationships, and 10x their productivity. Spencer, man, welcome and thank you for coming on today. So, just to before we get into this biohacking episode, let's kind of just take a step back in your own life of how did you find biohacking, first of all?
Well, thank you for having me on. Really good to be here, Paul, and thanks for the introduction. So, how I came into biohacking, I've actually been doing biohacking for probably more than 10 years, but hadn't coined it or termed it as biohacking. I've just been looking at ways of improving my health gradually over a long period of time, improving my mindset, undoing unconscious belief systems and working through my own kind of patterning and behaviors and routines and things like that to find something that works for me, my lifestyle, to give me more energy, to make me feel happier, healthier, stronger, fitter, and younger as well. What actually triggered that was 10 years ago now. I had a really serious health problem where I had a reoccurring bladder infection. The doctors prescribed me antibiotics for a period of about 8 weeks. Solidly, they kept giving me stronger and stronger antibiotics, which completely wiped my immune system. And they gave me the thing that kind of changed me and changed my world was the doctor gave me an antibiotic that I was allergic to. I felt my body shutting down. I felt like I was dying. I don't know if any of your listeners have ever experienced the feeling of it's like an intuitive, my body is dying. I need to do something now to fix this
Wow.
because what they were doing to me and what they were giving me was just not working. So I turned my back on Western medicine and made a vow to myself to figure out a way of healing my body naturally, organically, healthily, in whatever way that panned out. So that's what I did. And then I found all sorts of different methods and techniques and hacks and things that started to make a huge difference in my life. And one of those things was kinesiology, which is a holistic healthcare, which I trained in shortly afterwards. And then my journey kind of accelerated from there, really.
From there, so say about 10 years ago, you've really kind of dove into this world of what we now know is biohacking, but what you did
Mm,
not know at the time was biohacking. So
yeah.
to kind of just over your couple of years, you've obviously seen because it's taken off, man. Like it's really, it's something that's become very, very popular. Optimization, which we'll touch on later on in the podcast. For you, for somebody who kind of came into it where it was like this thing that you started to do, it wasn't as popular. What would you
Mm.
say is biohacking nowadays? Like what is biohacking just for the listeners to understand it?
So, in order to answer that, I feel like I have to say what biohacking isn't. So, I
Right.
think there's a common misconception that biohacking is this set of routines, this magic pill, this one thing that everybody can do that works for them, that raises their vitality, raises their energy. It's this like I do a cold plunge. I take this supplement, which is like 30 milligrams of zinc and this, that, and the other. And that's the magic thing that's going to heal me. When in actual fact, everybody is so totally different that they need to discover ways of figuring that out for themselves or work with a coach that's been there and done that sort of thing so they can say, try this, use that. This will give you a certain level of, health advancement. It generally means hacking or finding ways of um, improving someone's biology through testing, adaptation, retesting, and or trial and error, depending on which way you want to go. Um, what I like to phrase and the term that I like to use is like the process of constant refinement. So
Right, okay.
it's all about making a change in your habit, routine, day, uh, making a change and then seeing how that change affects your biology through how you're feeling, through testing, through something else, and then making more changes and improving on that. So constantly refining the process of getting healthier, stronger, fitter, younger in a lot of cases.
That's interesting because what you just said there about, you know, it's you kind of doing these optimizations and it's this continuous journey.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I speak to a lot of guys, obviously, and I've kind of dabbled into the idea of biohacking, and that to me was just a couple of ice baths. You know, there was no, there was no, there was no refinement whatsoever. It was just like I'm doing ice baths in the morning and going for a dip in the water. You know, so
That's it.
I find like that. So what you're saying is not, it's not like this easy thing that you do these couple of hacks and you do these couple of things, and even maybe the term is like it's more bio longevity type of thing. It's not really a biohack because a hack is kind of something quick. So that I
Mm.
find that super interesting because I know a lot of guys there, and even myself included, I've fallen into that trap. The ice bath in the morning, kind of Bob's your uncle. I'm on my way. So so then. When you say the common misperceptions, what are the kind of things that you're saying to your clients when they come to you about this? Like, what are the parts, the elements that they're like, oh, I don't know about this. Do you know, is it
Mm.
because they've heard things like this, and then how are you kind of telling them like changing that belief, and this is actually what we have to do in order to get results?
So a lot of people come into the biohacking space or come to me with a particular health issue, or they've experienced something that makes them wake up to the fact that Western medicine can't heal the body. It can treat the symptoms, but it can't actually heal the body. So
Right.
biohacking is about healing the body using whatever methods are available to improve the person's health and heal the body so that they get stronger and healthier. Um,
Mm.
so as like the first thing that I do with my clients when they come to see me is run a battery of tests. So that's DNA tests, microbiome tests, blood tests, nutritional tests, all sorts of different tests to get a baseline of where they are. And then we work from there upwards to say, okay, you're, maybe deficient in magnesium or you need some more zinc in your diet. And then we work from there using their DNA profile, their age, their biological age, which is different to their chronological age, to reduce their biological age so that they become biologically younger than where they are at the moment.
Right. Okay. So you've your biological age, which is how you so say for me, I'm 28. That's my biological age, is it? And then
That's
you're
your chronological age. So
that's my chronicle. Right.
that
Okay.
that's the year that you were born, and that's how old you are in time chronologically. So
Right.
biological age can be tested and assessed by lots of different methods. So there's DNA testing, where they test your DNA to see how old you are compared with the general population. There's blood testing, where they test your blood and see how they can track certain glycans in the blood. So they're like inflammation markers. They then compare it against the rest of the population and say, well, you've got the age of a 24-year-old maybe because you've got low inflammation in your body. And then there's certain things that you can do in order to reduce that age and reduce the inflammation. There's microbiome age as well, where you can do a microbiome test and they'll tell how well your gut is functioning compared with the general population. And then they can correlate that and give you a biological age of your digestive system as well. So all
Wow.
these all these biological markers are kind of like brought together and say this is your average biological age. And the best way of you reducing that is by for some people, it's ice baths. For some people, it's high intensity exercise. For some people, it's more rest. For some people, it's taking a certain nutrition, a vitamin, a supplement. There's lots of different things, but this is like we are at the moment, and what I'm doing is very cutting edge. This is based on data that's been correlated over the past sort of 25 years, but they're using it in real time, saying, well, we've got this number of studies that says that if you do this, this will reduce your biological age. And then we suggest that to them, and then they can take that on board if they want to.
Right. Okay. So, like, say for somebody that's kind of going into it now, and that's kind of piqued my interest there is this idea of the biological age. So, that's kind of what we should be aiming to do, is it really, when it comes to reducing age and vitality and stuff, is looking at ourselves from a biological level and compared to your chronological level. And I just have to ask, because you've said this, what is some of the craziest gaps you've seen in terms of biological age to chronological age, and how, and that you help switch? Like, did you
Mm.
help reduce chronological age with biological age as well?
Yeah, so I have with clients, the biggest gap I've seen is with myself personally.
Right.
So I am 46 at the moment, and my chronological age is 27. So
What?
I've and like I said, I've been doing this for 10 plus years. I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat refined sugar. My diet is super clean. I eat organic. I don't use any toxic chemicals in my uh, 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 beauty products like shower gels and shampoos and things like that. Like my body is super clean, and for me to be 27 biologically internally is like a prime example of what you can do if you start to, do this process of constant refinement over a period of time. With
Man,
clients, I've had reductions of 5 and 6 years, biological to chronological age, a reduction of 5 to 6 years. But I'm still early on into the whole testing, retesting process. So I'm sure I'm going to see a lot more age reduction over time.
that's crazy. So you're my age biologically, and I could easily be your age biologically, because I haven't
It's
done any of
possible.
these tests. Yeah, at
It's
27 years of
possible, yeah.
age.
I think like for people who have like high inflammation in their diet, they drink a lot of alcohol, they don't exercise,
Right,
maybe they're
right.
overweight, their hormones are out of whack, they drink too much caffeine, they don't eat organic, lots of things will affect our biological age. And also DNA as well. Certain people are more predisposed to age slower than others. And that's what we work with when some of the DNA testing is done with my clients. So we work in complement with that testing to say, okay, you need more antioxidants in your diet to bring that
Mm.
that number down. You need more fruit and vegetables in your diet than certain other people. So it's very, very individual, very specific, person specific.
Right. Okay. That's okay. Man, that's mad. Like, I could literally be. You're like. Do you ever see that film, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? Do you know the guy? He's just he's just getting younger and younger by the years, and everyone around him is just getting older.
That's the idea. Yeah,
I
yeah.
come back to you in a year later, and there you'll be like a 17-year-old, like a teenager.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh man, that'd be gas. So, then in your experience, then, okay, what's one of the biohacks that consistently surprise people in its effectiveness, and why do you think it remains like relatively underutilized?
So the what's not advertised and what's not spoken about with regards to biohacking is the unconscious patterning and belief systems and identities and things that we carry around in our memory that's been imprinted into us from our parents, our role models, media,
Man,
television, all these sorts of things. We form our vision of how the world works based on our upbringing. So up until the age of sort of 7, everything that everybody says to us, we take on board without question. That becomes our truth. After the age of 7, we get to choose whether we agree with that information or disagree with that information based on who's saying it, what's happening at the time, and things like that. And
mm,
then that then imprints onto the belief systems and the ideas and the patternings that we have from that age onwards. So it's really important to do some kind of belief change work around how we believe the world works, because that'll influence everything in our life. That'll influence how we eat food, what foods we eat, how we digest, how we live our lives, how much money we earn, what job we go into, what relationship we have. All the big things in our life that guide us are driven by unconscious belief systems and patterns that we pick up in our childhood.
Right. So you're saying what you're saying here is that biohacking is going beyond just the optimization. You have to look at it from a whole holistic point of view of it. So you're saying like the mindset and your mindset and how you view the world, that's also all kind of fits under the 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 bucket of biohacking.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because biohacking, we can't hack our biology solely on habits, nutrition, and routines, and the food that we eat and what's going into our body. We also need to work on our belief systems around how old, like for example, how old we believe we're going to live to. Because if you unconsciously believe that you're going to live until 60 years old, your brain will make that happen, and you will only
No
live until
way. No
you
way,
you
man.
will only live until 60 year old. I see it so many times with
What?
people around me and family, because they believe that they should only unconsciously live to a certain age. Then beyond that age, they're just giving up and they eat whatever they want. They don't look after themselves. They're just like, oh well, I'm going to die soon, so I'll treat my body badly, or I'll pass away soon, so I'll just give up.
That's ridiculous, man. That's crazy. Well, I suppose it makes a lot of sense because I suppose people do hit an age where it's like it's going, they just think that they're coming to the end of their life, they're in retirement or whatever. That's the kind of thing. But I notice this, and maybe you can tell me this now more because obviously you're dealing with these people. A lot of guys are going into their 30s and they're definitely into their 40s where it's just like that's almost nearly starting to happen. The
Yeah.
body or the quote unquote dad bod is starting to happen and letting themselves go a bit and stuff like that. So just to touch on that, do you find that it's kind of happening at a younger age? Guys are kind of starting to give up that bit. Would you say it's given up at a younger age towards their health and stuff?
Broadly, I do believe that as we are extending our lives, people aren't expecting to live that much longer. So they're not treating their body with the respect that they should do if they thought they were going to live until, 90, 100 years old. When you look at how old um, most of the people that are alive now are living to, like 60 years old now is nothing. Whereas my grandparents, when they were 60, that was old. That was
Right,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Okay.
20, 25, 30 years ago, that was old. And people only ever expected to live until 60, maybe 70 years old. Now, most people are getting to 80 and still like reasonably healthy. And because of Western medicine and how that has advanced, people are living a lot longer. But for me, it's about, yes, people are going to live longer, but it's about living healthier in those longer years as well. So that we're looking after our
Yeah.
body now, so that in the later years, we've still got that energy, that vitality, that strength, that mindset that we are going to live until maybe 100 or more.
And I've seen this now, especially in older family members, and I've kind of seen this with people that guys or whatever, they hit their later years and it's like the first instance where they go to hospital and they're on, say, a Western medication plan. Then it's just that's the way it is then for their rest of their years. And there's a lot, they carry a lot of pain even though they're on kind of what we call like medication or whatever and stuff like that. So just to kind of reel back here and say, if you were now and you want to kind of go into your later years, young, fit, healthy, what are kind of the core things? Where would you start, Spencer? Like what would be if you didn't want if you were to just optimize and track one kind of thing or three things, where would you start to kind of develop that healthier life?
So like the three the three or four main things that people should do, and these are like really simple things. The number one thing is sleep. But most people aren't
Sleep.
getting good quality sleep. So
Right.
everybody needs a minimum of 7 to 8 hours per night as a minimum. And then dependent on their, stress levels, their work routines, their energy levels, and how much they're working out physically, they might need slightly more based on their recovery scores and things like that. Refining the quality of your sleep, and two, the duration of your sleep will pay dividends later on in your life. When
Mm.
you're asleep, your body processes emotions, you physically repair, your hormones rebalance themselves. And if you're not getting that sleep, then your hormones are going to be out of whack. You're going to feel tired and lethargic constantly. It's so important to just get good quality, good
Sleep.
duration sleep. And getting something like a sleep tracker will help you to start to understand what works for you as well. There are supplements and stuff you can take to improve the quality of your sleep, but as a bare minimum, 7 to 8 hours per night, and get some sort of tracker as well.
Mm.
So number one would be sleep. Number two would be water, the quality of the water that you drink. Like, our bodies are 60% water. So if we're drinking tap water, which is poor quality, or bottled water, which contains synthetic, or BPA, which is a synthetic estrogen mimicker, then that's going to affect how our energy levels are, how our body processes the food that we eat, how our body processes toxins out of our system. So getting a good quality water filter is, like, I would say, up there with sleep as well. It's one of the two most important things. And then beyond that, you've got diet and nutrition, making sure you're eating organic, plenty of fruit and veg, high protein. Well, for me, it's high protein, low carb, but that works for me specifically. And cutting out any toxic chemicals, no refined sugar, reduce caffeine, cut out alcohol, and then exercise. I suppose the last thing is exercise, really. Making sure you're getting good quality exercise, whether that's walking, running, gym work, high intensity exercise, depending on your physiology and where you are in your kind of exercise journey, really.
Right, okay. So there's a couple of things I want to ask you there. Number one is bottled water, this estrogen thing. Okay. I came to Thailand and I've kind of pulled away. Number one, you can't drink the can't really drink the tap water over here, man. It's, you know,
Yeah.
but even at home, I never drank the tap water at home because you could actually taste the chemicals of it. I want to ask you about coconut water. Do you know much on that side of things? And yeah, because I drink a lot of that as well. And I have noticed I've shifted my diet over here. I can get meals delivered, which is unbelievable. It's like a godsend. And it's mostly high protein, kind of lower carbs.
Amazing.
I hear that, like, rice, pasta, stuff like that, not the greatest to be eaten. But
Mm.
I'd love to get your opinion on that. So coconut water, the likes of what carbs? Like, should it just be fruit? Or like is the likes of the rice, the wheat, the grain pasta carbs okay as well?
So coconut water is good for hydration occasionally. I wouldn't drink too much of it because there's quite a lot of sugar in it. There's quite a lot of
Right.
natural sugars in it, and depending on which brand it is and how it's manufactured, it can contain preservatives and chemicals as well. So if you look at the ingredients, certain brands will contain lots of different ingredients, whereas I think there's one or two brands in the UK that are just like coconut water and a little bit of salt or something like that.
Mm.
So you want to go for the cleanest one possible, and just don't drink too much of it because, like I said, it contains a lot of sugar, which can imbalance the microbiome, depending on how much you're consuming. But I think it's good to rehydrate with coconut water after a workout, and use it because it's a natural product. So I think it's good, but in moderation, or small amounts. And with regards to the carbs thing, it totally depends on your physiology, your digestion, your need for carbs. So I eat a low carb diet, but I still need carbohydrates in my diet because I'm exercising a lot. I do jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so I need that
Right,
energy
okay.
that the carbohydrates provide, for a sustained period of time. Yes, you can get carbs from fruit, but there's not much fiber in it. Your body needs fiber in order to process minerals and process nutrients as it's passing through your digestive system. There's a couple of, I'm not going to go into the specifics of
Yeah.
soluble fiber, non-soluble fiber, and all that sort of stuff, but I think it's good to have a balance of carbohydrates. Personally, I use pasta and sourdough because I know that they're good quality and clean, the particular brands that I get. With regards to rice, it depends where you're getting the rice from. Rice is well known to contain heavy metals that are difficult to detoxify out of the body. So again, small amounts is good, but it depends where you're getting it from, whether it's organic, how it's farmed. It totally depends on, how much you're consuming and whether it's white or brown rice as well. I prefer brown rice, but so it depends what you want the carbohydrates for and whether you feel like you need them or whether you're using them or whether you just want a balanced diet, really.
That's important, and I like what you've said about this because diet has nearly become a religion these days. It's nearly become a I'm on this diet or I'm doing this or I'm doing this. And what you're
Yeah,
saying is really you're not in a religion. Like your body has its own way, and it's about how the things that you are going to react and that are going to work well with your body.
yeah,
Because it's not black and white. Diet is not black and white, is what you're saying, and
exactly. Yeah,
that's a very important thing to kind of realize. Because I was doing a lot of the animal based diet, and I actually loved it, man. Do you know, I really did steak,
mm,
avocado, cheese. I was living in Australia at the time, and I had a local butcher, man. It was phenomenal. You
wow.
know, I could go to the guy. I was spending a bit of pound in it, but man, I really didn't. It didn't matter. And I was doing a lot of gymming at the time, and it was really good. I loved it, and I kind of am aiming to go back towards that direction. To say that, then it's like that's not exactly. Not everyone's going to fit into that bracket, and to say that you
Yeah.
all have to kind of fit into that bracket is it's an interesting point and it's an important note to make here. So now that we have kind of discussed at the very beginning of this, like how you kind of figure out where you're at in terms of biohacking, you do these blood tests. So we've also gone into like some of the routines that you think are necessity, like sleep, your diet, your exercise. And so for me, say I've gone through this journey, what am I looking out for in terms of success? How am I measuring success? I know if I'm working with you, you're going to give me black my bloods. We're going to see the improvement, the lower our chronological or biological age will drop. But from a personal point of view, what am I feeling? You know, what you see your clients feeling, or what you see them experiencing in everyday life.
So a lot of them report back with lower stress levels, better digestion, more energy, and more natural vitality. So they're more excited about life. They have more energy for when they go home after work and they've had a stressful day. The stress isn't affecting them and bringing them down so much because they're naturally more vibrant. So they wake up in the
Mm,
morning and feel energized. They go home in the evening, they still feel energized. So when they go back to their partners or their families, they're not feeling, oh, I've had a really stressful day. I'm tired. I'm worn out. They get home, they still feel good. They eat a healthy meal. They still have time to, go out and socialize with their friends or take on a new hobby or something like that. So it is very individual, and certain people do respond really quickly, and other people take a little bit longer. And again, like I said, it's a process of constant refinement. So if
mm,
something's not working quite right, then maybe they're taking the supplement at the wrong time of day. So we work on lots of different routines and habits with them as well to refine that process so they start to feel more energized, more vibrant, naturally healthier. And like some of my clients have actually said to me, I feel cleaner. There's no like way of experiencing that other than to feel it. And that's
right.
some of the feedback I'm getting from my clients as well.
And say for you now, would you say you're like a spring chicken in the morning and you're still that way in a March hare in the evening? You know, are you still kind of like, are you still flying it through the day when it comes to it, you know?
Definitely. I mean, I do, I
Nice.
do. So I go to the gym for 3 times a week. So I work out in the gym 3 times a week. I go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu most of the time 3 times a week as well. So I do work out a lot. So that's an hour and a quarter workout session, and then with jiu-jitsu it's about an hour and a half, and it's full on. And for the age that I am, I'm competing with guys that are a lot younger and still keeping up with them, and still, I've still got energy left. I wake up in the
Nice.
morning, I feel good. I have a very lean routine. I don't spend 4 hours doing, ice baths, meditations, red light therapy, da 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 da. I stack a lot of my stuff together so that it's all at the same time, and I've kind of like reduced it down as well. And yeah, I mean, I could quite easily go 20 hours a day, and still feel vibrant, but then I do start to struggle because I'm not getting enough sleep. So I make
Yeah.
sure that I now appreciate, and have done for quite a while, appreciate the quality of my sleep and how that affects my day. So I went out on Wednesday night with a few friends to a steak restaurant, and we had cigars afterwards. And I had alcohol for the first time in, I don't know, 7 or 8 months. I'm not teetotal, but I just don't drink it because it affects my performance.
Mm,
And looking at my data the next day and my recovery and performance, it was so low. I was like, it reminded me why I don't drink, and why I don't have like particularly late nights anymore, because it just makes
mm.
me feel off the next day, because I'm performing and feeling so good on such a sustained level for such a long period of time, that when I do experience an off day, I really notice it. I really do feel it as well.
Those young blokes in the jiu-jitsu are seeing you come in. It's like, Jesus, here comes Benjamin Button again, you know? How is this guy keeping up with us, eh? That's cool,
Well, I'm
man. Like,
actually like, I'll blow my own trumpet a little bit here, but I competed in a jiu-jitsu competition in November last year, and I was competing against guys because I'm in an older age bracket. I was
yeah.
competing against guys my age, and I got a gold and a silver. So what I'm going to do in my next competition is compete with the younger guys in the age bracket below me. So got a bit more competition, because I'm not saying that I found it easy, but I want to compete against people who are as fit as me, as healthy as me. And I find that well, I don't know yet, but I'm guessing that the age bracket, it'll be a bit more challenging for me in the younger age bracket, because,
Yeah, yeah.
because of what I do.
I'm not saying you're too old, guys. You know, I'm just like, I love it, man.
Exactly, yeah. I just want
No,
a bit of
that
a
man,
challenge.
like that's insane though. Like the fact that because jiu-jitsu is nuts, man. You know, that's
Oh yeah, it's hard
like
work.
that is hard work, and you're competing below you. So like, man, that's very very impressive. Um, and
Thank you.
for now, your program, because let's kind of segue into this a bit. What we talked about today, that's ultimately the bones of your program and what you do. So do you want to just walk a bit of like say I come to you on 28, okay, I want to I want to I don't know what I want, you know. I just know I'm
Yeah.
a bit lethargic in the day. Um I've come off caffeine now, but like say I was on caffeine, I you know I was having my crashes at 4 or 5 o'clock. I just want to sit in the couch in the evening. No, it's very hard for me to get motivated for the gym and stuff like that. So walk me through like the couple of steps that's going to happen in your program and stuff.
So like I said earlier, we run a battery of tests. So there'll be like microbiome tests, blood tests, DNA tests, or a couple of different DNA tests, and then set a baseline for you and figure out what your goals are. So are your goals to have more energy? Are your goals to live longer? Do you want a better working life? Do you want more hobbies? Do you want, what do you want? So we sit
Mm,
down and run through some exercises and some goal setting. And then off the back of that, we then go through almost like an elimination stage, where we start cutting out things that aren't beneficial for your goals. So that could be a detoxification program or protocol, where you're cutting out alcohol, or you are removing certain toxic chemicals or things from your diet that are affecting your energy levels and your inflammation levels, for example. And also cutting out things that don't serve you. So, are there any bad habits in your day that do you spend too much time on social media, or something like that. So we
Right.
work on a
Okay. Yeah.
very personalized basis on what's like blocking you and holding you back.
Mm,
We then go through some alignment and accountability. So I work with them on, how are your habits and routines building? Is there anything else that we can add into that? Do you need accountability with that? Do you want me to get in touch with you every so often to make sure that you are, working out, that you are doing the right exercises and habits and routines?
right.
So
Nice.
that we run through that. And then that's kind of the bulk of it. Then we go for retesting to see how far you've come in terms of, have you achieved your goals? Are you part of the way through? What more do you need? How can we refine that process? And then we run more tests as well to see how your inflammation markers, your biological age come down, and what more we can do in order to enhance your energy. And then if they want to work with me again, we then reset more goals and then go again. So again, it's that process of constant refinement on figuring out how we can improve your energy levels, your longevity, your health span, your vitality, and like overall wellness as a global term, really.
Right. Okay. So, guys, like you can see the depth in which Spencer brings his clients through, and obviously that's important to point out because I myself was an ice bath mojo. Like I got my mojo over the ice baths in the morning or whatever. When I was living in Australia, I was thinking I was doing the right thing or whatever. So if you
Mm,
are going to go down to the road of biohacking and stuff like that, you just kind of have to consider the depths in what you're going into. I think one of the key things that you pointed out, and it talks throughout this podcast, is the tracking.
mm,
You talk about tracking your sleep, your diet, stuff like that, and it kind of starts with that mentality that, okay, I sleep 6 hours tonight. Let me see what I actually feel like tomorrow.
mm.
So and then constantly kind of refining that constantly refining that process. Spencer, I have two questions here, right? And this is going to be a multiple choice, right? Well, you're only allowed to answer one of these questions. Only I'm going to give you
Okay.
both of them, but you're only allowed to answer one of them. If you
Okay.
had unlimited resources and no restrictions, what kind of biohacking experiment would you conduct and what would you hope to discover? Or if you could go back in time and witness any groundbreaking moment in the history of science that contributed to today's biohacking processes, which would it be and why?
Oh, great questions. Amazing questions. Um, so the question I'll probably answer is unlimited resources,
Right, okay.
and what experiments would I do to myself? I I'm kind of on that level at the moment where I am looking at setting up some kind of biohacking center, which will have red light, a full-on red light therapy device with PEMF, which is something that I use at the moment. It magnetizes and energizes my body at a cellular level. So it uses magnets. PEMF is pulsed electromagnetic frequency. So it
Right.
uses magnets that pulse on and off at a certain frequency to put magnetic energy into my body and my cells. It then helps clear out any toxins. It raises my vibration, raises my vitality, and what I've noticed is it makes me more in alignment with my true self as well. In a spiritual term, it helps me advance spiritually. So I would get an all singing, all dancing device because mine is pretty good, but I would go for, a probably 50 grand or 100 grand device that's maybe a red light therapy device and a PEMF device that I can sit under every day and just bask in the glow of the red light as it heals my body. So creating some kind of center where I can bring people in and they can experience the benefits of PEMF red light therapy device, and then coaching and all that sort of stuff around what I'm doing as well to make it a wellness center. That's what I would build, and that's what I'm actually in the process of, I'm probably about a year off. So, but that's what I'm going to do.
Nice, man. Very cool. And in the center, like, will you be experimenting as such, would you be kind of seeing, okay, what are we actually seeing here, with this new machine? What's going on like with these people, like, and you know,
Yeah, definitely. So again, it's a process of constant refinement. So I
cool.
know those two things work, but how do they work to reduce my biological or somebody's biological age on its own? So, is it going to
Right.
reduce the biological age by a year within a month, or is it going to reduce it by 3 years within 2 months, or something like that? So it would be an experiment to figure out how fast it can reduce someone's biological age, I suppose.
Right, okay. Very cool. Very cool. Man, I'll definitely be over. I'll be bathing out there with you. Oh,
So,
I'll have to
so
get
like,
I'll have to
can
get
I
my
ask you, like what benefit did you get from the ice baths when you were doing the ice baths over in Australia?
So very good question. Was it placebo? It was a great way to wake me up during the day. Like, it was phenomenal. What I noticed, Spencer, massively, is sun. Sun has a huge effect on me. In Ireland, there isn't that much of it. When I go abroad, if I get the sun into my face at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's rising up, like, my energy levels are just different completely. I know that because actually, like, done a week or a couple of weeks where I just did it in the morning, and then I done like a week or two where, like, I didn't get it, and I was not the same person, and that
Mm.
affected me. And when I was doing the ice baths, it was out on the beach in the mornings, or it was like in the mornings on the beach. I just noticed that my energy levels, and I just felt fucking good after, man. That's the honest truth,
Mm.
that I just felt really, really good after it. And was it more of a placebo effect? I'm not sure because I wasn't tracking. I don't actually have data to say now that you're saying it. So that
Mm.
would be that would be my answer.
But what I think that is case in point. It's something tangible, something that you physically experienced, and that
Yeah,
worked for you, which is great. And
yeah,
then that's what I suggest to my clients. Like, if it makes you feel good, do it. Like, there's no
yeah.
like set rules of, sometimes you need data, sometimes you just need to feel it to experience to
Mm,
know the difference between when you do it and when you don't do it. And when you do it and you feel great, continue to do that and then refine the process. Maybe like 2.5 minutes might be better, or 3 minutes might work better for you in the ice bath, or a lower temperature or a higher temperature. And just like play around with the mechanics of the ice bath, the location, the sun, and figure out, something that makes you slightly better each time. Refining, constant refinement.
man, that's yeah. Look, if I get back to it again, for me, the next thing is just get fitness. I'm get into, I want to do a Muay Thai fight. I've kind of committed to doing a Muay Thai fight next year, middle of
Nice,
next year.
nice,
So that's it, kind of commit. I like to commit to one thing at a time, so I actually do it. But
amazing.
man, Spencer, thank you so much for coming on today. Really
Thank you so much
appreciate
for
it.
having me on. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
really
it was,
appreciate the conversation. It's been really, really, really helpful. Yeah, thank you, man.
yeah, no problem at all. And it was a pleasure to have you on. You've a wealth of knowledge. And guys, if you're listening, I'm going to share a link of where you can connect with Spencer if you want to learn more about biohacking, or if you want to go down the road of biohacking through his process and stuff like that. It'll be underneath the show notes. So yeah, thank you very much for listening today, and we will speak to you very, very soon.
Thank you, Paul.